When the Libertines burst onto the scene in 2002, they made an explosive impact. Tearing around the country, leaving a trail of broken hearts and instruments, they were the likely lads a generation had been yearning for. Their ascent became one of the greatest and most turbulent stories in British music history. This is the ultimate guide to the Libertines, as told via the pages of NME.
Don't look back into the sun. Now you know that the time has come.
The core of the Libertines has always been the charismatic duo Pete Doherty and Carl Barat. They met in 1997 when Barat was studying drama at Brunel University in Uxbridge and sharing a flat in Richmond with Pete's elder sister. Fancying themselves as a latter-day Morrissey and Ma, Carl and Pete soon moved in together and started writing songs.
I was living in Cardiff at the time, and they were a touring band. They came through, but they still sort of had that impact. And I used to go and see 4 or 5 bands a week there. But the Libertines, as soon as they stopped playing, they were out in the crowd, sort of talking to people. They went to the club down the road. Pete was trying to get off with half my female friends and things. It just felt a bit more like they were just on like a kind of a classic rock and roll nationwide UK mission to live the rock and roll lifestyle. Cliche as it was, they were rock stars and they pulled it off.
The Libertines' first single was a double A-side of What a Waster and I Get Along, produced by former Sway guitarist Bernard Butler. It came out on June 3rd, 2002. That week, the band appeared on the cover of the NME for the first time. In the feature, Carl and Pete span outlandish tales, claiming to be former rent boys and sharing their mystical vision of the good ship Albion.
They're one of these bands that they kind of inspired all their fans to dress like them, It was almost like sort of a weird sort of micro version of Beatlemania. So you had all these, people turning up in like Macs and wearing the hats and stuff, and everyone sort of was like a different version of a different member of the band.
2 months later, having laid waste to the UK with a string of chaotic gigs, the Libertines entered London's Rack Studios to record their debut album. Produced by The Clash's Mick Jones, Up the Bracket might not have set the charts alight. It peaked at number 35, but it burned with inspiration and excitement. William Blake meets the jam round the back of King's Cross Station is how NME described the album, but its true greatness perhaps only emerged over time. Relationships within the band hit rock bottom in August of 2003 when Pete Doherty was arrested for breaking into Carl Barat's flat. He served 2 months in prison for the crime. It was a bitter irony that the same month saw the release of one of the band's best-loved singles, Don't Look Back into the Sun. Sadly, the band who'd recorded it were already falling apart.